Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Boxes Fantasy Basketball Podcast, hosted by #basketball.com, where right now they have just released their premium fantasy basketball tools for everyone's consumption needs right before the draft. You got auction values, you got rankings, projections, schedules for during the season, trade evaluators. Um, you can even do your own custom projections. You can import your team from Yahoo. It's a plethora of awesome fantasy basketball tools. If you have not checked out #basketball.com yet, you really should. It's a great one-stop shop for all your fantasy basketball needs. I'm your host, Mike Catron, and joining me as always is my co-host, Tyler Watts. What's up, Tyler?
Oh, Michael, let's just get right into it.
I think we should. We are doing our Who Do I Draft series. And just to remind everybody what that series is, very popular series that we did last season. We are looking at the top players, those first-round draft picks, and doing basically a snake auction, or snake auction. Nope, that's not how that works. A snake draft, 12 team, to build a team around each one of those first round players. So we're going to be really looking at this like we're in a head-to-head league. So we might talk about auction, we might talk about roto, but we're going to be talking about head-to-head 12 team snake draft for each one of those top players.
I'm looking forward to it.
If you are looking forward to that, Tyler, you're in luck because we are going to be doing quite a few more of these before the season starts. But if you want to get exclusive content that me and Tyler are putting out, like roto rankings, sleepers, if you want to get early access to that kind of stuff, or if you want to get one of those last spots in our listener leagues, go check out patreon.com/watchingtheboxes. We will have exclusive content for you all season long. Tyler, are you ready to pick Steph Curry as one of our first round draft picks?
Oh, I'm always ready to pick Steph Curry.
Steph Curry and Katie as well, but Steph Curry's been getting a bad rap this year. A lot of people asking if they should avoid him because of his playoff schedule, asking us if they should avoid him because he's going to rest because the Warriors are so good. Maybe his minutes will be down. Should I worry about the fact that he got injured last year? I don't really know what these people are talking about. Like, none of these are worries for me for either KD or Steph. Those guys are the best at fantasy basketball. They are elite. They are top tier. You could even argue that if there's someone outside of AD and Harden who has a chance to finish number one overall, it actually might be Steph Curry.
Yeah, I mean, and Steph Curry is one of those guys we talk about. He's elite in a lot of categories, and you love that about him. He literally gets you as many three-pointers per game as Chris Middleton and a guy like Mike Conley combined.
Combined. It's insane.
So that's nice, right? He's one of the absolute best scorers in the league. He's one of the absolute best free throw shooters in the league. He's going to shoot damn near 50% from the field. He's going to give you 6 assists. He's going to give you elite steals. Like, I don't know, man. I've been saying this all the time, right? I'm picking Steph Curry in the top 3, and even at those top 2 picks, it's hard to pass up Steph Curry. Like, he's just right.
If you're in a roto league, it's hard to pass him up at all. I'm still going AD overall number 1. I still like Harden at number 2, but Steph Curry is right up there with either at 3 or 4. I feel like Kat and Giannis are just like the young, they could break out at any time guys, and like those guys are freaking great, right? So if you pick one of them at 3, go right ahead. That's fine. I'm going to be totally fine with picking in that 6, 7, 8 spot this year because Steph Curry's been dropping to that range, and I think we're going to be able to get Steph at pick number 6 this year. I think that's a pretty safe pick, so that's where we're going to start out with drafting Steph overall at the 6th pick.
I will try to dispel the myth you went into a little bit earlier. Okay. So if you look at Mark Roberts' projections and you take the auction values from those projections, so Steph Curry is a $65 player in 72 games. He has Giannis projected to play 6 more games at 78, and he's only a $62 player. If you look at a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, he's projected to play 80 games, so 8 more games than Steph Curry. He's a $57 player. Like, picking these guys over Steph Curry because they're going to play so many more games, it still doesn't make sense because Steph Curry, even in 70 or 72 games, is going to give you more value than these guys are going to give you in 80 games.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm also real tired of the playoff schedule isn't really that good. Guys, you're not in the playoffs. Your draft hasn't started. You have to make the playoffs first to care about the playoffs. That is what the rest of the season is for, is to make the playoffs. And then you can start caring about those playoffs once you are solidified in probably going into the playoffs. If you're avoiding Steph Curry because of his playoff schedule, you're doing it wrong. You got to get there first.
Well, not only that, but you're getting extra games from Steph Curry during your regular season. If his playoff schedule, he has less games. And you mentioned it earlier. I mean, I tried to mention it with the 3-pointers thing. Like, in a lot of categories, Steph Curry gives you as much as 2 players anyways, right? Like, he gives you as many points as 2 guys who score 13 points a game. He gives you as many 3-pointers as, like, 2 third and fourth round players. So, I mean, okay, he plays 2 and somebody else plays 4. His stats might be just as good as that person playing 4 games.
That's true. That's completely true. So, guys, we're getting Steph at 6. It's a bargain. So we are going to do 12-team snake draft. Our second round pick is at pick 19. And as we've already said, Steph Curry is one of the best across the board players out there. People automatically go, well, I took Steph Curry. I got to punt rebounds. You don't. He averages, like almost 5 rebounds a game. That's way better than all those mid-tier guards that you're going to be that you might be picking up. So you don't have to punt anything. And what you really want to do is kind of focus on the stuff that he's elite at. Free throw percentage, 3-pointers, and he's obviously a great scorer. You're sitting pretty already there. So you can start building up those other categories that you want to compete in, or you could even make 3-pointers that much better here in the second round. What you should not be doing, in my opinion, with Steph Curry is picking one of those punt free throw centers. It just completely ruins the fact that he's elite in one of those categories. Would you agree, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, you can make it work, obviously. And
you can try to make it work, but I just wouldn't recommend it. How about that?
Well, here's the reality with Steph Curry too, right? He's pretty elite in every counting category except blocks. So, I mean, you could literally pick a guy who's a monster rebounder and be okay if that guy forces you. I mean, it's not the ideal build, but you can do it because he's so good in every other category. You know what I mean? Like, you can pick anybody at this point and make a really good team.
That's true. If you really wanted to go Andre Drummond here, you could still do it. You can accomplish that. That's how good Steph Curry is. You're probably not going to be competing too much in free throw, but you'll then be competing in the other categories.
I just think there's some better value available at this pick.
We're picking at pick 19, so we're talking about guys in the end of that second tier, maybe beginning of that third tier. Your Bradley Beals, your John Walls, your Jimmy Buckets, your Chris Middletons, Klay Thompsons, they're all available still. So a lot of those guys who hit a lot of threes are available, so you could double up on that. You can go the Kyle Lowry route, get another point guard, or you can go get Rudy Gobert, who a lot of people say, oh, you just said don't get one of those punt free throw guys. I don't think Rudy Gobert is a punt free throw guy.
No, but he's a punt-ish free throw guy in the sense that his percentage is bad on decently high volume attempts. So it's not super punt like Andre Drummond or DeAndre Jordan, but it's not good either. You know what I mean? Like I mean, you're talking 5.4 attempts at 69%.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's also livable with someone like Steph Curry.
Well, they basically both shoot the same amount of free throws per game, him and Steph Curry. So, I mean, quick and dirty math, right? If he shoots 69 and Steph Curry shoots 90, I mean, then you're at relatively 80% for your free throws at that point.
True.
Which is good, right? That's still passable. That's still fine. So,
if someone like Chris Paul or Kyrie Irving fell to you, would you go guard here?
I would go guard here, but I probably wouldn't pick those two because I think I'd rather have John Wall over those two this year, and that's kind of just a personal preference thing, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I would take John Wall with Steph Curry just because Steph Curry's shooting percentage is so good. But you know how I play in those roto leagues; those make I find the percentages very, very important to be good at in a roto league because it is so hard to maintain a good percentage when there's a lot of fluctuations especially throughout the year with trades, et cetera, et cetera. I like to have a good build of my percentages. I like to get those up. I would kind of look at Kyrie Irving there, Chris Paul. Are you gonna go John Wall here at pick 19?
No, I'd probably go for Jimmy Butler. I just think Butler is another guy who's elite in some of the same categories that Steph Curry's elite. So, I mean, I'm really boosting up my points. He's a good free throw shooter too. He's going to give me some pretty good assists from that kind of shooting guard, small forward spot, elite steals. I get half a block from Butler, so if I decide to pick a couple big men here, I can maybe get that category in. I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably not going to care too much about blocks here, but plus I also feel like I got 10 rebounds between my two guards then, 10 and a half probably even, and so nice. Right, so that's a kind of a good little build without getting a big man yet. So that's probably where I would go, be Jimmy Butler.
I want to give you props, Tyler, because this is the 5th Who Do I Draft that we've done, and that is the first time we've actually chosen Jimmy Butler. We've talked about it every single time because he is one of those players that we both love. We do both think he is being underrated this year, but it's the first time we've taken him.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we all kind of get our pet players, and they're hard to pivot away from. But this year in that second round, I find that there's a lot of guys that I'm really high on, and there's only a few guys that I'm not super in on, and so it makes it easier. But at the same time, like it makes it a little bit different because every kind of guy I'm picking someone a little bit different.
That's true. We are looking really, really, really nice in points. Our free throw percentage is really good. Our steals are way up there. We're probably struggling. I mean, we got good assists, but we don't have great assists. We don't got good blocks, but we do have decent rebounds for having two guards on the team. And because Curry is so elite at threes, Jimmy Butler's kind of mediocre threes don't really bother us too much. So
we're still pretty elite because we got like 4.4 and 1.3, so that's like 5.7 between two guys. So that's 3 and 2.7. Like that's still pretty elite, right?
Does not bother us at all. So let's go to pick the third round, pick number 30. We are down here. We cannot. I'm not going to let you do it, Tyler. We cannot take Chris Middleton, even though that is the other guy we always love to have on the team. But I will open up Draymond Green. And just as a reminder, we are going off Yahoo's ADPs for this. Your boy Kevin Love, super efficient LaMarcus Aldridge is out there. Clint Capella is someone who could be interesting. Marcus Sol. I don't know. I think there's a lot of different guys down here. CJ McCollum. Even old Otto Porter is still hanging around here. So we got our two guards. Jimmy can play sometimes he can play the 3. So who are we taking here in the third round?
So there's a lot of options, right? And there's a lot of different ways we can go, right? We can keep
Draymond's a little bit interesting here, I feel.
But Draymond hurts your free throw percentage a little bit, right? Not a lot, but a little. but obviously Draymond's going to pile on the counting stats. He is going to put us a little bit behind in points, maybe.
Yeah,
right?
I'd say so. Just a tad there.
So
We'd have to make that up later.
Right, that's something we could think about. I actually really like Draymond at this spot. I think that he's probably the best player available, and I'm big on picking the best guy available in your first 3 picks. The other person I'd probably be looking at would be Marc Gasol, and we know how much we like Marc Gasol. He's steady. He does a lot of good stuff. But getting Draymond's 8 rebounds, his 7 assists, his 1.5 steals, his 1.3 blocks, just is really enticing, and that's hard to pivot away from at this point.
We do love Marc Gasol a whole lot, and I do feel like it's a little bit early. There's like a there's like a 20% chance that you could get Marc Gasol at 43 if your league doesn't know what it's doing. And I feel like with Steph, and people are like, oh, you're going to have 2 Warriors on your team. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We got 2 really good point guys who help with dealing with Draymond Green's 11 points a game. Not that great. This boosts our blocks. This boosts our rebounds. Our assists are now quite elite, so our steals. Our threes are still fine because Steph Curry is just that elite in threes. Draymond's low volume 77% shooting from free throw doesn't really bother us too much. I still think we're probably up there in free throw, and our field goals are, hanging out probably in the upper half, maybe in the middle. We're looking really good right here with Draymond Green going at pick 30, best player on the board. But we are seeing some punt strategies kind of evolving here, and that's really what we recommend people do. Going into the 4th round, we're either going to have to strengthen our strengths or get our extra categories, and we're probably going to have to ignore a few things after this. We will be picking a pick 43. So we could have the likes of Jamal Murray, Miles Turner, Al Horford, Mike Conley, Johnny Collins would probably be still available right here, Gordon Hayward. What do you? Who are we gonna pick? I don't know. This is how I feel every time the draft timer comes up, and it's like 30 seconds to figure out the guy who you were gonna pick just went before you. Good luck figuring out who you're gonna pick now. Like, this is how I feel every time it's like the 4th round. I'm like, what am I gonna do?
So this is a range that we've talked about a little bit in the past, and there's a lot of guys here that I like. I think are good. I think could be real good this season. A guy that's hard for me to get away from at this point is Eric Bledsoe. I just think he's going a little bit underrated. I think he's probably a top 40 player, and he's just not getting that respect, right? Like, I think I'd rather have him than guys like Blake Griffin and Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon, like some guys going just a little bit ahead of him.
We both really, really like Bledsoe so far. Though I'm kind of looking a little harder at Miles Turner. Maybe a little bit of a risk here. He had an off season last year, but Turner would allow us to basically lock up that center spot. Probably one of the last good centers on the board. He's very efficient. He's not a great scorer by any means, but he's going to boost those blocks up where we're going to be competing in blocks for sure. We'd probably basically be competing in almost everything.
Now, see, here's
with Miles Turner there, but that is going against the fact that we probably should punt something at this point.
Well, and I think too that we're trending down in field goal, and that's one of the things where Miles Turner is very good, and we're trending down in blocks, which is another place where Miles Turner is really good. I also think Miles Turner's only like 14 and a half, maybe 15 points a game. Gives us another spot or another round where we're picking a guy who's one of the lower guys.
That's true.
And so we're trending down in one of what was our strengths, which is kind of why I wanted to go Bledsoe, thinking Bledsoe probably scores 17, 18 points a game safely. That's one of the higher scorers in this round, right? When you're looking at guys like Gary Harris and Miles Turner and those guys, like that's all they're going to score mostly is 18 points, and he probably scores more than they do. Al Horford, Mike Conley, you know what I mean? Like he probably scores more than all those guys. So that's just kind of an option.
That's true. He probably is our best, most likely scorer. I guess Gordon Hayward's still out there. Mike Conley, like you said. I know you like those guards, and I think you make a good point because if you go the Miles Turner route, you're basically building a roto team, and you got a really good roto team. If you go the Eric Bledsoe route, you are bumping your steals up. You're getting more assists. You're going to be getting some of those, I guess, stats that we kind of ignored with Draymond back up. And Bledsoe's actually a pretty good, pretty decent rebounder for a guard here too. So I'm going to concede. I'm going to say we're going to go with Bledsoe here. Bledsoe, a guy that we've been really just kind of targeting in most of these, simply because, man, Bledsoe's just got a really good game, and he's been incredibly impressive in Milwaukee, getting elite steals. And he looked good tonight. I was watching that Bulls game. Let's all take that with a grain of salt. The Bulls are going to be the worst defensive team in the history of the modern NBA. So we got that to look forward to. But Bledsoe's, 17, 18 points, 4 rebounds from that guard spot. So we're probably way up there in assists. Our steals are still incredibly good. All of our guys get like 1.5 steals a game. Our points are good. Our threes are once again right back up there to being really, really good. Our free throw percentage probably is coming down a little bit with Bledsoe, but really, I just don't think it's that significant when you have someone like Steph Curry on your team. Next up, round 5, pick 54. Tyler, who are you targeting here at pick 54? It looks like we are going to have guys like Robert Covington available. Jared Allen could be available. I feel like he might be going a little bit earlier than that. Same with Vujovic. He is an interesting center to fill in for this team. But, there's always a run on centers, and there seems to be a run on centers around round 4. So Vujovic might be available. We're going to say that he is. Why not? Paulie Millsap, Ricky Rubio, someone that Tyler dearly, truly loves, talks about all the time, picks him in every single draft. Taurean Prince, Josh Richardson, Jeff Teague. Who you like in here in round 5 for our team, which is just really, really solid across the board and elite in a couple categories.
Sorry about that. We decided to have a scrape there.
Oh man, no worries. Let's just pick up with who you gonna. I just basically asked who you gonna draft. Pick 54 in round 5.
Okay.
Who are you gonna draft at pick 54 in round 5?
Well, it's got to be Laurie Markkinen, right? Mike Catrone's favorite player.
He is one of the greatest Bulls of all time already, and the team looked like just absolutely lost without him against the Bucks in a preseason game. Like it's gonna be a rough couple months without him.
They'll have ISO Joe and ISO Joe Jr. going crazy. What are you talking about?
Those guys.
So
actually, Zach LaVine went out with an injury. There goes $70-80 million down the drain.
Did you see Zach Lowe's league pass rankings?
Yeah, I did. The Bulls are up there.
How?
For all the good, all the right and all the wrong reasons. They're going to be terrible. The teams are going to feast on them, and they're at least going to have some interesting players that will either score a bunch or do dumb things or both. So I'm with them.
I don't know.
The Bulls are going to be fun to watch.
I just feel like they're going to get blown out a lot, like in track meets, but they're going to get blown out. Like they're still going to lose by 15, like 130 to 115.
All right, that's fine with me.
All right, so let's see here. We got a lot of the usual suspects here in this general range.
Certainly do. I think Larry Markkinen. I'm going to say Larry Markkinen is on the board, along with beautiful Bob Covington. Ooh, there's a lot of good players here, Tyler.
Yeah. So, let's see. What do we need? We
kind of need a big? We kind of need a center here. Paul Millsap, Vujovic is available. DeAndre Ayton says he's available, but usually, I don't think he's available at this juncture here.
Yeah, so some guys are getting some real hot sauce on DeAndre.
Yeah, I feel like you could still wait around and get your Hassans, your Steven Adams, your Enes Kanter's, Brooke Lopez's. You can still wait on those guys, I think.
Here's the beauty of Enes Kanter, right? Enes Kanter is a lot more valuable in this build than in some other ones we've done because he's a good free throw shooter, which is something we're caring about. And he's bad at blocks, but we're not caring too much about blocks. So Enes Kanter is a really good guy for this particular build, and he is getting picked at pick 81. So we have, 2 more picks before that comes up, or just one?
Feels pretty low. I would probably take him in the next round, in the 6th round, just to make sure I got him.
Right. So we got that option available to us. So I'm thinking we could go Vucevic here and kind of go for him, which I think he's undervalued too. We talked about that, but he's not a great free throw shooter. So that could hurt us a little bit. Plus his block a game, right? We're not super caring about that. So I'm probably going to pivot away from that. And then I'm looking at kind of a lot of the usual suspects here. And
I mean, we always kind of look at Nico Mirotic. We always we haven't looked at Taurean Prince that often. I think we did take him in one of our other ones. Paul Millsap still available. I think Paul Millsap might not be that bad. I don't know if he's the 54th ranked player. I think I'd rather get him at 67 or 78. But Paul Millsap is someone who I think is being overlooked quite a bit when he was injured last year, and he has the ability to do basically a ton of stuff across the board. Let me just pull up his stats really quick. Paul Millsap, that block, but he gets you a block, but he gives you over steal a game, solid rebounding, good scorer, hits about a 3 a game. He's not bad at this position, but I mean, I really like Nico. You know how much I like Nico.
All right, should be good. We got maybe 30 seconds. Let's go.
So who are you looking at here? Maybe Nico, Terrion Prince. I'm going to let you take this one because I feel like we should probably get like a forward who gets some rebounds here.
Yeah, I mean we're probably a little bit light in our rebounds. I
mean, if we're gonna pick up Enes Kanter in the next round,
right? Then I'm feeling.
Do we have to worry about those rebounds that much?
No, I don't think so. We don't want a complete zero, obviously. Like we don't want someone who's going to get 2 rebounds a game or anything. But at the same time, I don't think we super have to worry about that, especially if we're pretty sure we can get Kanter, right? And Kanter's probably going to get you 10.5. So I feel pretty good about that.
I'm interested in Nico's threes. I'm also interested in Joe Ingles.
Yeah, so I think here it's probably between Covington, Ingles, and Nico Mirotic, right? There's probably the 3 guys that,
as it often is.
So we can kind of lock in on, and you just kind of break it down with what we need, right? We're probably pretty good in steals, right? So we don't really necessarily need Covington's elite steals.
True. And remember, Doncic is available here too.
Right, and here's the thing I'll say about that, and maybe why we maybe should even pick him over guys like Mirotic and Covington is he's got some upside to be great. He's also got a little bit of downside, but he's going to get us a lot of assists. And, I mean, maybe we could use those assists because we're not super heavy on point guards. Plus, the position eligibility he receives will be interesting to me too.
Yeah, so you could go maybe forward guard either way. I think we're really pretty good at assists with Draymond being on the team and going Bledsoe and stuff. But like that's just going to double down, and we're probably going to win, and that's a hard category to be elite at.
So here's the crazy part, right? So Yahoo lists him as a point guard. ESPN lists him as a shooting guard, and Rick Carlisle, coach of the Dallas Mavericks, lists him as power forward. So could we potentially see Doncic get some forward eligibility, be that small forward or power forward, and that help his value a lot? Just give you flexibility on your team. I'm really kind of preferential to Doncic here a little bit in the sense that it's going to be good rebounds and good assists with some decent points and threes. Obviously, all categories we're caring about in this build. So whereas some of those other guys, right, they're going to help us in 2 or 3 categories, but they're not going to help us in assists that much.
Yeah, and if you really wanted to make sure you're good at dominating assists, I think Doncic is the way to go here. If you wanted to get more rebounds, maybe you wanted to compete more in rebounds, and you wanted to basically destroy everybody in threes, Nico Mirotic is probably the guy I would be looking at here. But I'm going to keep pushing that Doncic every one of these 5th rounds. I think he's a great pick to sneak here.
Especially outside the top 50. Assuming he gets you 6 to 7 assists a game, which I think is relatively safe. He's going to handle the ball a lot for the Mavericks. A player who gets you that many assists with some ancillary stats, be those rebounds, be those points, be those 3-pointers, it's going to be hard for him, especially in a head-to-head league, not to push his way into the top 50.
I agree. Let's move on to the 6th round, pick number 67. I think we've been talking about Enes Kanter. According to Yahoo, Enes Kanter is available. Still going with Enes Kanter.
Yeah, and in our punt build, he becomes a top 50 player probably because we don't care about blocks and he's not good at blocks. And, you know, he's good at field goal percentage, which is another category we're not super caring about. But at the same time, I feel like we're good enough in every other category. We snag him for his rebounds and his pretty good points, and we don't look back.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that one. Technically, according to Yahoo ADP, Nico Mirotic is still available here. So if he was, maybe go with him, and then maybe you can pick up Enes Kanter later. Obviously, no draft follows these ADPs ever, and I'd actually be pretty surprised if Enes Kanter. I've never seen Enes Kanter fall to 81 in any of the leagues I've mock drafted all.
I have, though, seen Mirotic definitely be around there in that 70 to 75 range. Yeah. Like, there's some sexy names right behind him, the Kyle Kuzmas, the Dennis Smith Jr., those guys sometimes get picked up. Chris Dunn, Luka Doncic, right? Those guys are all below him. And so you see him slip because in a draft with some guys who know what they're doing, right? They're all reaching down and picking those guys up. And I did a Yahoo mock yesterday, and Jeff Teague fell to pick 70.
Still no respect for Jeff Teague. None.
Because there's sexier names, right? Lonzo Ball went ahead of him. Oof. And Kyle Kuzma went ahead of him, and Ayton and Doncic. And so, I mean, I think that's a top 50 player falling way too far, but I won't rail on about that.
I agree. Pick number 78. This pick feels like it can go in any different direction here. You could go get Buddy Hield here. I mean, that might be a little early for him, but you would solidify your threes. You can get Chris Dunn and go after more steals here. We could go get Brook Lopez and have a center who shoots threes.
Yeah, right. And I think
if you're in a 2-center league, I think that's probably what we should do.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. Not a good value still around here at this general area. So Chris Dunn, definitely another guy I'd be looking at. I'd be putting him in the crosshairs. And then maybe down a little further, you got guys like Kyle Anderson. I mean, he's not great for this build, but those are other guys I'd be looking at in this general range. I'm preferential to Dunn or Brook Lopez. That's fine. Either way we want to go there.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think you could just do either one of those depending on what direction you'd like to be dominant in.
You can decide what else is available a little bit later, right? Like, I mean, that's part of your draft prep is you look down there and you say, oh, well, for me, it would probably be Dunn because I think there's some big men a little bit later that I can snag. Whereas I think Chris Dunn in Yahoo Leagues is one of the last point guards.
That's true. There's not a whole lot of point guards left. Trae Young is going to hurt your shit. Probably, guys like Jabari Parker, JaVale McGee late is something we've been considering. I know we talked about JaVale McGee, but he looks like he's going to play 19, 20 minutes on that Lakers team. And he's actually relevant in that kind of.
Here's the thing that's worth saying about that, right? They're planning to make their backup center be Kyle Kuzma and LeBron James, which against some teams that play smaller, that's going to be great. But when these teams are running out a real big center, I mean, they're going to have to play JaVale to match up, right? They played the Nuggets in the first 2 preseason games, and JaVale played 20 minutes each game because someone's got to match up on Jokic. And Kuzma and LeBron just can't do it.
I agree. That's a pretty good build, Tyler. We got Steph Curry going 6th overall, followed by Jimmy Butler in the 2nd round, boosting our steals and giving us kind of an all-around really good player. Draymond Green hurts us in points, but really jumps us in our rebounds and our assists from one of our big men. And then we went Bledsoe in the 4th round at pick 43, Luka Doncic with pick 54. Now we're looking at a really elite assist team. Our points are still super solid. Our 3-pointers are fantastic. Our steals are very good too at this point. So we're really competing in a lot of these. Our percentages are fine. Our rebounding is fine. Like we're not hurting anywhere. We're not super punting, maybe other than blocks. And so just to solidify our rebounds and our points, we went with Enes Kanter. That boosts us back up in those rankings. And now we really don't care about blocks at this point. And then with the pick 78, I went with Brook Lopez. Tyler went with Chris Dunn. You could really go either way at this point, depending on how you feel about all the other teams that are out there. And that's something you should be looking at while you're drafting. How are all the other teams going to be competing against you? Is there anyone who's like sneaking up kind of close to you in steals and assists? And if that's the case, maybe Chris Dunn is the right choice. But if you need to meet more big man stats, because there's a lot of guys with good big men out there, like the guys who hoarded Drummond and DeAndre Jordan, maybe Brook Lopez is the direction you want to go in. So a lot of choices after that. Another very good build for who do I draft with Steph Curry. If you guys want to see the published versions of our drafts, go check out patreon.com/watchingtheboxes. We are going to have that up as exclusive subscriber content. Also, last chance, guys. If you want to get in the listener league, go subscribe to Patreon, and we'll get you in that listener league. We'll sneak you into one of those last spots because we are going to be drafting very soon. Also, if you like what you're hearing, you want to leave us feedback, you want to hear something going into the season, or you want to hear something during the season, feel free to tweet at us. You can find me at Watch the Boxes. You can find Tyler at Tyler P. Watts. And that is it for tonight. We will see you next time. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Boxes Fantasy Basketball Podcast, hosted by #basketball.com, where all new premium tools are building fantasy winners at fantasy basketball leagues around the country. That's #basketball.com. Go check out their premium tools. They got really, really great tools. They got Mark Roberts' projections. You can customize those projections. You can import your team via Yahoo. And you can also get your hands on some trade analyzers, some auction rankings, and a lot of other really good stuff out there. And definitely one of the best graphics, UIs for not to get into the computer world, but the way that website looks for their schedule is absolutely incredible. So go check out #basketball.com. I'm your host, Mike Catron. Joining me as always is my co-host, Tyler Watts. What's up, Tyler?
Oh, Michael, what a great day.
Another solid day. We are talking fantasy basketball. There is actual real basketball on TV. Things just keep getting better and better. And also, like, the Cubs are not in the playoffs. So when I go to a bar in Chicago, the Bulls are actually going to be on the TV in October. So I'm real excited about the Cubs now making the playoffs. That was very, very exciting for me. I am going to drink to that one.
Your White Sox fandom.
No, I'm a Cardinal. I'm from downstate. I'm a Cardinals fan. I grew up downstate, but I've been living in Chicago for a very long time. So whenever the Cubs lose, it still makes me, even though I don't follow baseball anymore, it still makes me happy.
I feel like those are fighting words in most Chicago bars that you're a Cardinals fan.
No, I don't hang out in douchey Chicago bars, so I don't have to worry about Cubs fans.
Oh, okay, fair.
Shots fired for all you Cubs fans out there. Shots fired. Come at me. Feel free to tweet at me. Watch the boxes. I will respond. We are doing our Who Do I Draft series, and tonight we are going to be doing Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak himself, who has been working on his three-point shot. One of the things that I've said is keeping him from being a top player in that tier one is that three-point shot. Looks like in the game that I saw him play, granted he was playing against the worst defense in the entire league, the Chicago Bulls. Looks like he's not terribly afraid of shooting that three, and it looks like Bud's offense is going to be really nice. So Milwaukee fans and people who've been drafting Milwaukee guys, good on you. I might give all those guys a slight bit of a bump in all my rankings.
You're not the only one.
Ooh, sounds like Tyler's in on that. So we will be drafting Giannis at pick number 3. And just to remind you what Who Do I Draft is, we are pretending this is not real. I just want to make sure you guys understand this is not real. This is a fake draft. A 12-team head-to-head draft. So we're looking at it like we're building a punt strategy out of one of the top guys, all the guys in the first round, basically, that we consider our tier 1 players. And what we'll be doing is going back and forth through the rounds, through the first 6 or 7 rounds of a normal snake draft, trying to figure out who we're going to build a team around. And today we're building that team around Giannis. I've seen a lot of people taking him 1 and 2 overall. I just don't think you should do it. But I'm starting to consider him in that 4-5 range above Cat.
Yeah, and that's fine, right? I personally would take him 6th, but if you want to take him 4th or 5th or even 3rd, I mean, that's your prerogative. You're entitled to that opinion. And a lot of it comes down to who are you going to watch and who do you want to root for. Like, they're all really, really close in that general range.
Yeah, they're all really fun players to own in this spot here, and I've actually gotten a lot of tweets about trading draft picks, and I think that's kind of an interesting topic that we can maybe throw in here. But these trades, you got to really look at your own personal tiers, and that's why I don't do rankings. I do tiers, and if you want to check out the roto tiers that I've developed, go check out patreon.com/watchingtheboxes. It is part of our exclusive content for our subscribers. Shout out to all the subscribers out there. You guys are all great, and those listener leagues are about to spin up. So if you need to get in that listener league, patreon.com/watchingtheboxes. But the tiers should kind of develop how you look at your draft pick. And I've seen a lot of people go, oh, I want to trade up like 2 spots in the first round so I can definitely get James Harden or AD, but I'm going to give away my like 24th or 25th, like I guess 26th would be the second pick. I'm going to give my 26th pick away for their 48th pick. And it's like, oh yeah, don't do that, because the 26 guys, those guys in that range, are all second or third tier players. They're all really, really good. Once you get in that fourth tier, it's a giant bucket from like 40 to 70. So if you might get like a 48th pick back, you're really getting a pretty mediocre player, and that guy's actually still getting an elite player and also getting 2 second or third tier players, like, or actually 3, because he's going to keep those draft picks. So I just think that's a bad idea. Don't do it.
Yeah, and I mean, not to get too much into it, but when we talk about auction strategy, a lot of times you see like these very top 10, top 12 guys get bid up real high, and then the next, like that kind of second tier goes much cheaper, and sometimes you can get 2 or 3 of those second tier guys for one of those top tier guys. And in an auction draft, I'm much more a proponent of that, right? Like if you can give me Jimmy Butler, John Wall, and Paul George for this relatively the same price you paid for
Giannis.
Giannis and some $5 player at the end. Like, give me those 3 guys as opposed to your Giannis, a $5 player and a $1 player, right?
Absolutely. I think the market, once the market gets set in those auction drafts, it feels like the top guys go for a lot, and then like the last tier 1 guy, he goes for a lot too. And then it's like the overlooked Steph Curry's, KDs that are actually going for a fairly decent value. And so I would just keep my eye on that if you're in those auction drafts. I've seen Steph Curry go for a very reasonable amount multiple times.
That's where you gotta just snag him.
That's right, guys. So let's go to round 2. We picked Giannis in the first round. Giannis, obviously a multi-tooled player, absolutely incredible. I guess 2 fairly larger weaknesses. Some guys don't have these weaknesses at all in these rounds, but 2 larger weaknesses for Giannis is his free throw shooting and his 3-pointers, which like I said, there's a chance that those 3-pointers could get a little bit better. I'm not going to bank on that by any means, but could get a little bit better. But he's basically excellent at everything else, and an elite scorer and a very good field goal percentage guy. So the 2 things to pay attention to. So pick 22, we are going to go to Yahoo's ADPs. We're going to go see who's available at pick 22. We're kind of getting semi back-to-backs. We're going 22 and 27. So we got Bradley Beal, we got John Wall, the normal, the old usual suspects: Drew Holiday, Jimmy Buckets, Devin Booker, Andre Drummond, if you want to go that route and just go full on punt free throw, Rudy Gobert, Klay Thompson, Chris Middleton. I'm actually semi interested in Andre Drummond and Rudy Gobert here.
So this is, I think, the one where you snag Drummond. Here's why. So they both Giannis and Drummond are like 1.5 steal and block guys. So you are now pretty elite in both those categories. Okay, you got a crazy amount of rebounds, right? Giannis scores enough to make Drummond relatively a 20 point per game scorers, right? When you average that out.
Yeah.
And they're both bad at the same 2 categories. So it puts you into a hard punt build on threes and free throw percentage, sure. And maybe not even a hard punt on free throw or on 3-pointers, because you could potentially make that comeback if you really, really wanted to. We probably won't at this point. But now you're elite in field goal, right? And you're elite in rebounds, you're elite in blocks, you're elite in steals, and you're pretty elite in points. That sounds like a really good team to me. And okay, Drummond doesn't get a ton of assists, but there's lots of point guards available that you can bump those assists right back up to being really competitive in that. So I really like that fit. Maybe
yeah, we don't often do the hard punt right at the beginning, but with Giannis's flaws, this really could be just go for it. You punt free throws right off the back, and when you stop looking at free throws, when you ignore those free throws, Andre best player in the league. So you're getting those incredibly elite rebounds, like Tyler said, and you're still competing everywhere else. So after making the pick at 22 with Drummond, you get to come and right back and pick at pick 27, where I would probably be targeting a guard at this point. But you can go in a lot of different directions. We don't care about our threes. We're really, really actually punting our free throws. I wouldn't say we're completely punting our threes at this point, but that's a really tough hole to dig ourselves out of at pick 27 here. And so we got our usual suspects of Draymond, Klay Thompson, Chris Middleton, K Love, old Clint Capella is out there. Jamal Murray, Eric Bledsoe, the guy we always pick, Eric Bledsoe, great. Mike Conley, Gary Harris. I mean, I always still like Bledsoe right here, reaching down for him because I do think he is being completely underrated. But Tyler, what direction are you going to go here?
So, for me, there's kind of three guys I'm hard looking at, right? One of them isn't a great fit for this build, so maybe we can kind of cross him off relatively quickly. But it's Middleton, it's Eric Bledsoe, and it's Draymond Green, right? So looking at those players, Draymond, the points are a little worrying, especially when we got Drummond, right, who's also one of the worst scorers in that second round. If we go the worst scorer in 2 straight rounds, that's going to put us in a hole.
Yeah, it's probably not the best move.
So that's one up we'll probably cross off, right? So then you kind of got Bledsoe against Middleton, and you kind of debate those two a little bit. Middleton's probably going to score a little bit more, get a few more rebounds, which we're probably pretty set in rebounds. Bledsoe's probably going to be a little bit better in assists. They're both elite steals guys.
Yeah.
They both could get around 1.5. So you kind of weigh those options, right? And I'm kind of preferential to Bledsoe a little bit here because I think he's just a little bit better for this build, right? Like one of his worst categories, relatively speaking, is free throw for a point guard. Like he's only 79%, whereas like Middleton's 89%, right? That's like a big boost of his stats, and we don't care about that. Bledsoe's not a great 3-point shooting point guard, so I think he just fits really good with this particular build and this particular team.
I would absolutely agree. I think he's very, very good at this point.
And it gives us 2 Milwaukee guys, but I don't care about that.
No, I don't care at all. If that team's clicking, you're really going to like watching Milwaukee every single night. 27 might seem a little high for Eric Bledsoe, but, quite frankly, like he's probably the best point guard available at that point. I guess if, someone like Devin Booker or...
He's also ranked 23rd in Mark's ranking, so take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, definitely take that for exactly what it's worth. It is worth the 23rd pick. But if like Mitchell or Booker fell here, you might want to look in that direction to boost those points back up, so then you can in one of the later picks go with one of those, Ingles or Kyle Andersons in a later round. Some guys who don't score that well but do extra things for you. So, you might want to look at Booker if he is available here. But we're going to say he's not. And we're going to go with Eric Bledsoe here. One of our favorite picks, really running up the rankings for most picked guy. We'll have to tally those up here. Usually it's Rubio because Tyler loves Ricky Rubio, and you know what? This draft is not over, so we might actually get to Ricky Rubio.
It's his beautiful Spanish hair.
He's got that beard now. He's super sexy. I love everything he's got going on. Running the entire town in Utah.
All right, let's get on to it. Let's go.
Round 4, pick 46. We are looking at our old boy Gary Harris. Mike Connolly is still out there. Gordon Hayward, Al Horford is going to be available here as well. DeAndre Jordan allegedly available. So I'm just going to say DeAndre Jordan went a little bit earlier because someone else is punting free throws here. Might be a little too easy to go DeAndre Jordan.
Maybe we should have jumped down for, if we wanted Jordan, that should have been right with our Eric Bledsoe pick. We said we jumped down and picked Eric Bledsoe. Like we could have jumped down and picked Jordan. I'm never super big on getting like the two biggest rebound guys, right? Like I feel like with Giannis and Drummond, we're good on rebounds. Piling that on with DeAndre Jordan, right? Now we're just like amazing in rebounds, but we lost out on so many other categories that we're not going to be good in now, right? Like we're not going to be that good in assists unless we're going to pick point guard. Plus the thing about picking now, if it's a 2-center league, I guess it doesn't matter, but Jordan and Drummond are both center only. So
that's true.
That can kind of mess with your build a little bit if you're in a 1-center league. Actually, Drummond has power forward eligibility on Yahoo, so I misspoke there. ESPN, he only has center. He only has center eligibility, so that's something to think about. That maybe.
Yeah, let's also say that like Aaron Gordon is available here too, because I've seen him drop a little bit lately. So Aaron Gordon might be available here. We don't care about free throws. Aaron Gordon actually might be a pretty decent pick. A lot of guys get interesting when you stop looking at those free throws.
So, yeah, I'm with you there. I feel like we're pretty set in our big men stats, like our big men stats, and we're pretty set in both steals and blocks, right? Like we are pretty solid in both those categories, especially steals. I feel like we're pretty super elite in that category. Guy I might go for here would be Gordon Hayward.
Interesting.
We probably need a little bit of scoring. Hayward's going to get us a few more rebounds, which we might not need, but never hurts, right? A few assists, only like a steal a game. But we're pretty good in that category, and the blocks aren't great. He still shoots an okay field goal percentage, right? It's not great, like 46, but I feel like that Celtics team, right, they all might boost their field goal percentage up a little bit because there's just so many.
There's going to be better distributors all around the court,
Well, and there's so many men to guard, right? And there's only so many good defenders.
That is very true. I also kind of like Mike Connolly here as well. If you wanted to go, make sure you got another assist guy. You got Bledsoe and Giannis. Your assists are probably fine.
I'll ask you a Mike Conley question because this is one I've been throwing around in my brain a little bit.
Okay.
Is Mike Conley's field goal going to be okay, bad, or really bad, right? Because we only saw 12 games last year, and it was really bad. Now, he was hurt. I think we can all agree on that. He was hurt, and even in the games hurt. But even still, like he's usually not a great field goal percentage guy, which we're kind of caring about in this team. And it can be on sometimes some pretty high volume, right? And if he shoots again like 41 or 42, right? Like last year it was 38 in the 12 games. If he's down there in that like 41, 42 range, that can kind of tank one of our better categories if we pick Conley, which doesn't sound great.
True. And if that's really what we want to focus on, though, I think Mike Connolly, with having Drummond and Giannis on the team, you can make up for someone like Mike Connolly who might shoot somewhere around 42% at a decent, not like he's not like he's taking like 20 shots a game,
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm not saying it's a killer, especially on this team, but it's something to watch if you're in a roto league or if you're in a league where you're caring about field goal, but you're more in the middle. Like I think we're pretty high up in the field goal right now. If we
Yeah.
were a little more in the middle, it might be something that's a little more worrying. I don't know. It's just a thought I've been kicking around in my own brain.
I think that's super fair. So we got Mike Connolly out there. We also had, what was your pick again, Tyler?
I mentioned Gordon Hayward. Obviously, Gary Harris is another guy in this range that we target a lot.
We always love Gary Harris, but I like Gordon Hayward here too. He kind of gets you locked up in that forward position, and it allows you to kind of go in a bunch of different directions. He scores well, and then he does everything else just perfectly fine. Now we don't care about threes, and that is one of his better categories. So, but then again, Conley shoots a lot of threes too. So I don't know. I think either one of those is good. Maybe a I don't know. I like Hayward here. I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, and I feel like that solidifies our points a little bit more, and we're getting to that range right now where the big point getters are pretty much all gone, and so I kind of like snagging Hayward as a good shot to be one of those like last 20-point guys on the board that aren't the Jabari Parker types or the Zach Levines. Just gives you a little bit more in some other categories.
Yeah, we're probably back to being fairly elite in points. We're definitely elite in rebounds, and our blocks are very great, and our steals are super elite as well. So we are going to pick at 51, round 5. The usual suspects also, once again, available here. Your Lowry Markins, your Robert Covingtons, your Ricky Rubios, your Joe Ingles, your Vucevic's. I think also when you're punting free throws, guys like Chris Dunn become much more valuable. So that's probably a guard I'll be targeting later. Lonzo Ball does become more valuable as well, but he's also just piss poor at field goal percentages. So we don't really want to probably target someone like him.
Super worried about Lonzo Ball's on me too, just in this range, right? Like if Ball's going a little bit cheaper, I might feel like there's a little more upside with that pick, but that knee just worries me a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not terribly excited about him probably at all. I'm probably not going to own him in hardly any league whatsoever. So we could go in a lot of different directions here. It does feel like a guard kind of feels right here. But like I said, Dunn, who you could probably get at 70, becomes a lot more valuable. We could actually just pick Dunn at this point as well, or we could go in the fashion of Mr. Slick Ricky Rubio, like we always do. But I'd probably pull for Dunn here to get those elite steals.
Do we need elite steals?
I mean, we're doing pretty well on steals. Why not get more?
So here's why I think I'd rather have Jeff Teague than Chris Dunn, because Chris Dunn's gonna get more steals, sure, but I feel like we need some assists, and I feel like who's gonna get more assists, Teague or Chris Dunn? I feel like that's Teague.
Okay.
I feel like Teague and Dunn, when these two guys are kind of battling, I feel like Teague's probably going to score a little bit more, which I don't know that we need the points, but that'll help us. Also, Teague's definitely going to shoot a better field goal percentage.
That is true.
And I feel like we might care about that a little bit. So, I mean, I just feel like Teague may be a little bit better fit for this particular team. And then obviously, if we want Dunn, Dunn's probably available at our next pick anyways. From these ADPs, and maybe he's not, but maybe he is. Yeah, I feel like Dunn is not getting a lot of hype.
No, not at all.
Like some of those guys,
people in the know are hyping him. He is definitely one of my sleepers that I will be putting up for our Patreon subscribers out there.
Yeah, and okay, here's the other way I look at it too, right? Like they can't pick everybody, so if Dunn's one of the guys who gets picked, then maybe one of the guys who falls is a Mirotic or a Steven Adams or some other guy that we're going to be kind of in on. So they can't pick everybody. Luka Doncic, right? You can't pick everybody. So
I can pick everybody, Tyler. I do like Teague here. Once again, a guy we do think is going pretty underrated. Tyrion Prince is probably another guy that I might target here as well. Kind of like across the board type players, because in those later rounds, I really am starting to look at like doubling up. So going Hassan Whiteside at this point.
I'll
Like
say this.
I've seen him slip a lot, and like here in round 6 at pick 70, getting Hassan Whiteside to just double up your center is pretty nice.
Yeah, or Steven Adams, right? Like there's a lot of guys in this range that are available that are punt, free throw big men. That I feel like with that next pick, right? So we go Teague, we go Rubio, we go Dunn, we go whoever at point guard.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big men right there, Whiteside, Adams, that are punt free throw guys that you can grab and just be like, all right, cool. And then maybe some not punt free throw big men, right? Jonas Valanciunas, Enes Kanter, Brooke Lopez, right? They're all kind of right here around in this range. Obviously, Whiteside and Adams will be better targets for this build.
Not interested in them with this build. Even Nurkic is super late. You could get him, and he's really good in this build as well.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good names around, and because we're punting the free throws and the 3-pointers, those guys come a little more attractive.
I would agree. Even if you want to get some more scoring, you could even look in the direction of Jabari Parker out there at pick 51 instead of Jeff Teague. So a lot of different directions you can go.
The hate on Jabari Parker, man, that's just too far. Jabari Parker has an average ADP of 105.
Far too late.
So we're talking like we could pick Teague, Adams, maybe even another guy, and then Jabari might still be hanging around.
I know it's quite wild. Should we throw Jabari Parker a bone and pick him at 75?
No, I think we pick a big man, and then we could probably maybe go for Jabari a little bit later.
I think we should go with Whiteside at pick 70.
Okay, yeah. So then 75. All right, I'm sorry. I thought you meant that next
all
pick.
Good.
That's my fault. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Jabari at pick 75. I think I'm on record, if you guys listen to the Bulls podcast, of saying this. Like, I think Jabari scores 20 a game for the Bulls. I think we see Jabari go back to his kind of pre-ACL form. You can look at those numbers up with the Bucks. The efficiency on this Bulls team might slip a little bit because I just feel like they're going to do a lot of no passing. Like, I'm going to take the ball and shoot. Okay, now you take the ball and shoot. But other than that, I feel like Jabari is going to be pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think he is going to be. I think he's going to be just fine. I think that Bulls team is going to be hit or miss.
Here's another thing.
Night in and night out, he's going to be pretty hit or miss.
Here's another thing I'll say about Jabari. So, in Mark Roberts' rankings, he is the 57th ranked player. 32 minutes a game, 17.6 points, 6.1 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 1.1 steals, half a block. All that sounds pretty reasonable. 49% from the field, 77% on free throws. He comes out as the 57th ranked player. So if you punt the two categories he's not very good at, so he's only kind of okay in threes and he's semi-okay in free throws, that's going to boost him up maybe even a little bit higher and in this build, maybe even to top 50 players. So, yeah, I'm fine with picking Jabari at pick 75.
Well, respect to that. We are killing it in points. Then our rebounds are all looking good. Our steals are great. The only thing we're punting here is threes and free throws, and we're probably not the worst at threes, but we're definitely in the lower half. Free throws, we were probably last, I would assume, but our field goal percentage is still fairly good. Or, like I said, our rebounds, points, steals, and blocks are all very good, and we're probably okay at assists as well. We're not great, not bad. This is a pretty good build for Giannis, Tyler. We took him at 3. In the second round, we went Drummond. We went the full punt free throw build. One of these had to be a punt free throw build, and I think this is the right choice here. So Drummond at 22, elite at rebounds. Also a 1.5 block, 1.5 steal guy. So with your first 2 picks, you're getting 3 steals and 3 blocks a game. Pretty incredible. We followed that up with Eric Bledsoe getting our guard. who helps us with our point free throw strategy. Even though we're just ignoring the free throws anyway, but we're going to get some steals and assists from him. You went Gordon Hayward at 46. I like that pick. I think there might have been some other guys available that you different directions you might want to go other than Gordon Hayward, but really, really good scoring there, which means we went Jeff Teague at 51, getting those assists back up into a competing level there, still working on our efficiency. With the 70th pick, we went Hassan Whiteside, another center who's going to complement our punt free throw strategy, who, could have like a really, really stellar season and could be really actually pretty good trade value come later in the season when you are dominating everybody in rebounds. And that's like what a lot of people forget is like assets are assets. Sure, it might not fit your punt build, but if Klay Thompson's hanging around at pick 51, he's an asset you can trade later, even if it doesn't fit your punt build. So don't let these really good superstars slip too much. And I'm not calling Hassan Whiteside a good superstar, but just don't let him slip like way too far.
In 26 minutes a game, he comes out as the 52nd ranked player in Mark's rankings.
That is not bad. And if he's going to play more power to him. I'm not going to bet on him playing more, but Whiteside could be a nice little steal here. And then we threw a bone out there for all the haters. Jabari Parker going at 75. Probably could get Jabari Parker at a later round. So you could go just a bunch of different routes here after pick 75. Really another good build, Tyler. I like Giannis. And if he ends up able to shoot threes this year, which I've said, hey, he doesn't shoot threes. He's not the top tier. He's not the Hardens and ADs of the world. And in fact, he's probably not even at the top of my 1B tier because of that 3-point shooting. If that can happen, Giannis is going to be good.
Yeah, and I'll mention another guy that we could have looked at 75, and maybe he's even available in our next pick after 75 is Kyle Anderson. I feel like Kyle Anderson fits really well in this particular build. Going to give you some assists, some rebounds, some steals, some blocks. He's bad at three-pointers. He's bad at free throws, but he's going to boost our field goal percentage on some limited attempts. Just feel like he's a real good person for this particular build.
I like that too, especially if we got Jabari and Hayward and Giannis. Just some very elite points there, and you could take on Kyle Anderson's low points for all the rest of the really, really good stuff that he does. I think that is it for our Giannis build. Everybody, if you like what you're hearing, or you got feedback for the show, or if there's just something you want us to talk about more, keepers, dynasty leagues, auction drafts, whatever it might be, please reach out to us, send us feedback on Twitter. You can find me at Watch the Boxes. You can find Tyler at Tyler P. Watts. And if you want to get into one of those last-second listener leagues, check out patreon.com/watchingtheboxes. We appreciate all you listeners out there. We'll see you next time.